You mean to tell me that man at 39 years of age, the final game, 82, he played over 70 games. He gave you 28, 17, and 11? Your GOAT couldn't help.
Jordan is 6-0 in NBA Finals?
Yes.
Do you understand that Jordan was MVP all 6 NBA Finals?
Yes.
Do you understand that Jordan never even allowed a final series to go 7 games? You understand that? 4 games against the Dallas Mavericks in which people looked at you and said, choke.
If you said that, you know what?
You cannot get past that.
I can't argue out that one. I can't argue out that one.
And that to me sealed the deal about the MJ LeBron comparison.
So what if he were to win a title this year?
The long-standing debate between LeBron James and Michael Jordan has once again surged to the forefront of the basketball world, reaching a level of intensity rarely seen. What might have remained a routine post-game discussion instead transformed into one of the most heated exchanges in recent sports media history. The argument did not unfold quietly. It captured attention across television, social platforms, and fan communities almost instantly. The center of this moment were Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith, two of the most recognizable voices in sports commentary. Their discussion began with an analysis of the Los Angeles Lakers' final regular season game, but quickly escalated into a larger confrontation over basketball legacy. What started as evaluation soon turned into a passionate clash over who truly deserves the title of the greatest player of all time. Tio understand why emotions ran so high. The context of the game itself matters. The Lakers entered the season finale fighting for playoff positioning. With the 8th seed in the Western Conference at stake, the pressure was undeniable. Every possession carried meaning, and the margin for error was slim. Complicating matters further, Anthony Davis was forced to leave the game due to back issues, removing a critical piece from the Lakers lineup. This unexpected absence placed even more responsibility on LeBron James, who at 39 years old was already navigating the physical demands of a long season. Despite the circumstances, James delivered a performance that immediately reignited debate. In the final game of the regular season, he recorded 28 points, 17 rebounds, and 11 assists against the New Orleans Pelicans. It was not just the numbers that stood out, but the timing, the stakes, and the stage on which they occurred. Game 82 is often where fatigue shows itself most clearly, especially for veteran players. Yet James played with control, awareness, and composure, contributing across every major category. His performance served as a reminder of his durability and adaptability, traits that have defined his career for over 2 decades. Shannon Sharpe reacted strongly to what he had witnessed. To him, the performance symbolized something larger than a single game. He emphasized the rarity of such production at this stage of a player's career, highlighting how few athletes in league history have remained so impactful so late into their playing years. Stephen A. Smith, however, approached the moment from a different angle. While acknowledging the achievement, he questioned how much one performance should weigh in the broader historical conversation. From his perspective, individual games, no matter how impressive, must be measured against entire careers and sustained dominance across eras. As the exchange continued, the discussion expanded beyond the Lakers, beyond the season finale, and beyond statistics. The debate shifted toward standards of greatness, comparisons between eras, and the criteria used to define legacy. Longevity, championships, cultural impact, and competitive dominance all entered the conversation. What made the moment resonate so strongly was not just a disagreement, but the passion behind it. Both sides argued with conviction, reflecting how deeply this debate runs within basketball culture. Fans quickly joined in, amplifying the discussion across digital platforms and turning the exchange into a central talking point. Once again, a single performance proved capable of reopening one of the sport's most enduring debates. It served as a reminder that basketball history is not static. Each new moment adds another layer, another argument, and another perspective. In the end, the season finale was no longer just about playoff seeding or a box score. It became another chapter in a debate that continues to evolve, driven by moments like these, where history, performance, and perception collide in real time.
No, they don't go.
That's the emotion.
But the goal.
See, that's the emotion
you
right
told me
there.
the storm was coming.
Right.
See, your storm happened for 9 years, then took 2 years off.
Right.
And it happened for 3 years, it took another.
This is where the discussion takes a more colorful turn. Shannon Sharpe did not limit his reaction to simply praising LeBron James for a strong performance. Instead, He used a vivid comparison to explain what he saw unfold on the court. Sharpe described LeBron's approach as someone who prioritizes everyone else first before focusing on himself. Sharpe compared the moment to a family gathering, where one person makes sure everyone at the table is taken care of before sitting down to eat. In his view, that was exactly how LeBron handled the first half of the game. Rather than immediately looking to score, James focused on setting the tone by involving his teammates early and often. The numbers supported that interpretation. LeBron recorded 13 assists in just the first half, repeatedly creating open looks and controlling the flow of the offense. He was reading the defense, directing traffic, and making sure others were comfortable before asserting himself as a scorer later in the game. Sharpe emphasized that this was not accidental. He argued that it showed awareness and leadership, especially in a high-pressure situation. With playoff positioning on the line and a key teammate sidelined, James took on the role of organizer before becoming the primary option. What truly elevated Sharpe's reaction, however, was LeBron's effort on the defensive end. In several key moments, James matched up against Zion Williamson, a physically dominant player, and held his ground. Sharpe pointed out that these defensive possessions mattered just as much as the scoring or passing. For Sharpe, this combination of playmaking, patience, and defensive commitment illustrated a complete performance. It was not about highlights alone, but about influence over the entire game. He argued that James dictated tempo, made adjustments, and stepped in wherever the team needed support. That is why Sharpe's response carried so much energy. To him, this was not simply a veteran having a good night. It was an example of how experience, awareness, and adaptability can shape a game at the highest level. In his eyes, moments like these fuel the ongoing debate because they show impact beyond the box score. In the end, Sharpe framed LeBron's performance as a lesson in control and leadership. Make others better first, then take charge when the moment demands it. For him, that balance was the most impressive part of the night.
Did you see that defense that he put on Zion? Did you see that? I said, LeBron said, hey, should I get him? Should I get him? Got him. Did him up.
The description was vivid, the emotion undeniable, and the message unmistakable. Shannon Sharpe leaned fully into moment, framing LeBron James as the center of everything unfolding on the court. His commentary left no room for alternative interpretations, especially any scenario in which Michael Jordan remained untouched at the top of basketball history. But that framing did not sit well with Stephen A. Smith. From his perspective, the praise had moved beyond appreciation and into exaggeration. He made it clear that while performance deserved recognition, it did not justify rewriting long-standing historical standards. Smith responded by pulling the conversation back toward context and comparison. He acknowledged the excellence on display, but challenged the idea that one night, or even one season, could outweigh an entire body of work built over years of dominance. To him, celebrating a great performance is not the same as redefining the sport's hierarchy. He emphasized that admiration should not erase precedent. Michael Jordan's position, in Smith's view, was earned through sustained excellence, championship success, and era control that set a benchmark few have approached. Those achievements, he argued, cannot be dismissed or diluted by enthusiasm in the moment. Smith's resistance was firm and immediate. He was not rejecting LeBron's greatness, but he was rejecting the implication that the discussion had suddenly been settled. For him, the debate demands discipline, perspective, and respect for history. In that moment, the divide between the two commentators became clear. One was speaking from awe and emotion, the other from structure and legacy. And that contrast is exactly what reignited the debate with such force.
It was a different era. It's softer. It's considerably softer in today's NBA than it was in the 80s and 90s. You keep forgetting that, but that's a different subject for another day.
Stephen A. Smith's response marked a clear turning point in the exchange. From the moment he stepped back into the discussion, it was evident that he was preparing to dismantle the argument piece by piece. His approach was not loud or rushed. Instead, it was deliberate, methodical, and carefully structured. He began by doing what he always insists on doing first, acknowledging excellence. Smith openly credited LeBron James for his performance, noting the vision, the passing, and the control he displayed during the game against New Orleans. He even drew a comparison to Magic Johnson, highlighting how LeBron orchestrated the offense and elevated those around him. In that moment, there was no denial of greatness. But then Smith shifted gears and the tone changed. He reminded everyone that context cannot be ignored. The performance, impressive as it was, came against the New Orleans Pelicans, a team that historically LeBron has handled consistently throughout his career. Smith argued that dominance over a familiar opponent should be viewed differently than success against elite, battle-tested competition. He also brought Zion Williamson into the discussion, suggesting that the matchup itself favored LeBron. Smith implied that Zion has struggled to assert himself in these moments, particularly against the Lakers. From his perspective, that dynamic matters when evaluating how much weight a performance should carry in the larger legacy debate. For Smith, the issue was not effort or execution, but scale. He stressed that greatness must be measured against the toughest resistance available. Strong games against teams you are expected to beat do not carry the same historical weight as success against opponents who have already proven they can stop you. That is when the conversation moved to the subject both analysts have been circling around: the potential playoff matchup against the Denver Nuggets. Smith framed it as the true test waiting just ahead. If the Lakers were to advance from the play-in, they would face the defending champions immediately. Smith reminded viewers that Denver had eliminated the Lakers decisively the previous season. He pointed to Nikola Jokic, describing how the reigning star had consistently controlled those matchups. In Smith's view, this was a measuring stick that mattered most. He then posed a question that shifted the energy in the room. How would LeBron and the Lakers respond when facing a team that has already shown it can dictate terms? How would that same level of dominance look against Denver's size, discipline, and championship experience? The question lingered, and its impact was clear. The discussion was no longer about one impressive night or one favorable matchup. It became about what comes next and whether future results would support the claims being made in the moment. Smith's argument was simple but sharp. Appreciation must not replace evaluation. Performances matter, but opposition matters just as much. And until those questions are answered on the biggest stage, the debate remains unresolved.
They'll win that game and say, bring on the champions now in the first round, or do you lose, dare I say on purpose, just to avoid the Denver Nuggets.
The stakes surrounding the situation are significant, and the potential outcomes create very different paths forward. A loss in the play-in game would send the Lakers into a separate bracket, where the challenges would still be serious but structured differently. In that scenario, the next opponents would likely be either the Golden State Warriors, led by Stephen Curry, or the Sacramento Kings, a team that dominated the Lakers during the regular season. Neither matchup would be easy, and both present their own risks. Curry's ability to shift games in minutes and Sacramento's speed and depth pose real problems. However, from a strategic standpoint, avoiding the Denver Nuggets in the opening round could be seen as a short-term relief. Denver's size, continuity, and championship experience make them a uniquely difficult first-round opponent. This layered context is exactly what Stephen A. Smith was emphasizing. Every result carries consequences beyond the scoreboard, and playoff paths matter when evaluating both team success and individual legacy. The road taken can shape how performances are judged long after the season ends. Shannon Sharpe's reaction to this line of reasoning was immediate and predictable. He responded with unwavering confidence in LeBron James, brushing aside matchup concerns and focusing instead on belief. His stance reflected complete trust in LeBron's ability to rise regardless of the opponent. Rather than engaging deeply with the strategic implications, Shannon leaned into conviction. His response suggested that, in his view, LeBron's presence alone changes the equation. No matchup, no bracket, and no previous result was enough to shake that confidence. That contrast and perspective highlighted the heart of the debate. One side focused on structure, history, and probability. The other relied on faith in an individual's greatness. And it was that divide that kept the exchange charged and unresolved.
James and you're 12 foot tall, you don't duck nobody. I agree. You see what I'm saying, Leg? We don't duck.
I agree.
The moment the discussion shifted, the stakes instantly grew larger. The consequences surrounding the Lakers' final games were no longer minor talking points. They carried serious weight for how the season and legacies might ultimately be judged. If Los Angeles failed in play-in, Their road forward would change dramatically. A loss could send them into a matchup with either Golden State, led by the ever-dangerous Stephen Curry, or Sacramento, a team that handled the Lakers convincingly during the regular season. Those paths would be difficult, but they came with one major benefit: avoiding Denver in the opening round. That detail mattered more than anything else. The Denver Nuggets are the reigning champions, and they've been a nightmare matchup for the Lakers. Last season's sweep still lingers, and Nikola Jokic has consistently controlled games against Los Angeles with calm authority. Stephen A. Smith made it clear that ignoring this reality would be irresponsible analysis. Matchups matter. History matters. And pretending otherwise doesn't change what's likely to happen on the court. Shannon Sharpe, however, refused to back down. His response was driven by unwavering belief. To him, the idea that LeBron James would ever consider positioning, strategy, or avoidance was unthinkable. In Shannon's view, true greatness doesn't calculate fear. It confronts it head-on. That loyalty, that absolute faith, shaped every word he spoke. There was no room for doubt, no scenario where his chosen legend would sidestep a challenge for comfort. When the debate moved beyond television and into deeper discussion, the tone shifted from heated analysis to something more reflective. This was no longer about standings or single performances. It became a broader conversation about legacy, history, and how greatness is defined across generations. The argument wasn't about one night, one stat line, or one playoff series. It was about what separates admiration from immortality. Stephen A. Smith came prepared to elevate the debate even further. He wasn't there to dismiss LeBron's achievements. Far from it. He acknowledged the brilliance, the longevity, the consistency, but he also drew a firm line. For him, greatness isn't just measured by production or moments of excellence. It's defined by dominance, by eras controlled, by opponents who felt defeated before the game even began. That was the heart of the clash. One side saw greatness as sustained brilliance across time. The other saw it as an overwhelming force that reshaped the league itself. And as the discussion unfolded, it became clear that this debate wasn't ending anytime soon. It had grown beyond basketball analysis into something deeper, a battle over memory, meaning, and how history itself is told.
You understand that Jordan is 6-0 in NBA Finals?
Yes.
Do you understand that Jordan was MVP all 6 NBA Finals?
Yes.
Do you understand that Jordan never even allowed a final series to go 7 games? You understand it?
6 championship titles, 6 appearances on the biggest stage, ending with 6 finals MVP awards. No losses when pressure was highest, no drawn-out winner-take-all games, and a consistent record delivering when everything was on the line. Add to that a decade of leading the league in scoring and 9 selections to the all-defensive first team, and the resume becomes impossible to ignore. It is complete, tightly built, and remarkably consistent across every category that defines greatness. This collection of achievements doesn't rely on projections or hypotheticals. It stands on results. For many observers, it forces even the strongest supporters of LeBron James to slow down and reassess the comparison. The record leaves little room for debate because it reflects dominance on both ends of the floor, sustained excellence, and flawless execution on the sport's biggest stages. Shannon Sharpe attempted to shift the conversation by focusing on the level of competition faced across different eras. His argument centered on context, depth, and changes in the modern game. But even then, the challenge remained clear. Numbers adjusted for eras still must be matched by outcomes, and outcomes remain the foundation of legacy discussions.
That he faced that was the 2017 or the 2018 Golden State Warriors.
And to be fair, that argument does carry weight. The Golden State Warriors built around Kevin Durant were unlike anything the league had seen before. They were historically stacked, layered with elite talent at every position, and so dominant that many believe the balance of competition tilted sharply in their favor. Night after night, opponents weren't just outplayed, they were overwhelmed. That context matters when evaluating postseason outcomes. However, Stephen A. Smith was prepared with a response that immediately reframed the discussion. His position was simple but powerful. None of Jordan's rivals ever assembled a super team specifically to stop him. The reason, he argued, was timing and control. Jordan never allowed the window to open. He won championships before challengers could regroup, reload, or restructure their rosters to catch him. Every finals appearance ended the same way, with him holding the trophy and closing the door on debate. From there, the conversation shifted into a more detailed area: defense. Shannon Sharpe contended that LeBron James deserved at least one Defensive Player of the Year award during his prime. He pointed to an unusual season where the award went to Marc Gasol, who was named to the all-defensive second team rather than the first. To Shannon, this inconsistency highlighted flaws in how defensive excellence is evaluated. Stephen A. acknowledged the technical validity of that criticism. The voting process, he admitted, has produced questionable outcomes, but his counter redirected the focus to sustain impact. Individual awards, he argued, matter less than long-term defensive dominance, reputation among peers, and performance when it mattered most. In his view, defensive greatness is not defined by a single trophy, but by years of elite commitment, accountability, and presence in high-pressure moments.
No one. Do you know why? Because none of them had
Mic drop moment.
There's a critical difference between earning respect and commanding true fear. Respect means opponents recognize your skill. Fear means they alter their entire strategy because of what you might do if given even a small opening. That distinction sat at the center of this argument, and it is where Michael Jordan separated himself from nearly everyone else. Jordan inspired that level of apprehension on both offense and defense. Teams didn't just prepare for him, they worried about him. His defensive pressure alone forced opponents into rush decisions, disrupted passing lanes, and broke offensive rhythm before plays could even develop. Game plans were adjusted not to attack him, but to survive him. One of the clearest examples came against the Orlando Magic, a team loaded with talent, including Shaquille O'Neal in the paint and Penny Hardaway running the floor. Even with that size and skill advantage, Jordan's presence reshaped how they operated. His full-court defensive intensity created hesitation, uncertainty, and mistakes. That kind of influence goes beyond numbers. It reflects control, intimidation, and a psychological edge that statistics can't fully capture.